Welcome to episode 43 of the 31305 podcast, featuring some live reactions from Taylor as the Suns basketball game is going on against the T Wolves. We'll get into how game one went in a little bit.
No, we won't.
Uh, as always, I'm Alex with Taylor. We're going to talk about the NBA weekend wrap up, some baseball, and the other part of our podcast is mainly going to be doing a mock draft for the first round NFL draft this Thursday. So we're going to give our own cracks at it, see what would happen. No trades, but just to see what would happen if we were the GMs of some of the teams. Taylor, anything to add before we get into it?
Suns are up 5 right now, so vibes are high. Vibes are high. We'll see
First
how the
quarter or
vibes are.
second?
Second quarter, 5 minutes in. We'll see how the vibes are about halfway through this podcast. But
We will. Why don't we start with the game one? Why don't we start with the Suns Thunder because we're already talking about it. You predicted a 4-0 sweep. I predicted the Suns to win, but dude, game one was rough in
they
Minnesota.
are they are tough. They can't shoot. It was the Kevin Durant show for the Suns. Nobody else on that team did anything. Devin Booker was absent. Bradley Beal was absent. I mean, outside of that, I mean, you have Grayson Allen, but I don't know. That was not what I was expecting out of Phoenix. They lost 120 to 95. So not even this game was not really close. Um, Anthony Edwards, you got to give shout out to him. I mean, man dropped 33, 9, and 6 against the Suns, who they haven't beaten all year. None of those three regular season games were close at all. Um,
Neither was
I,
this one.
yeah, Nikhil Alexander Walker with 18 points off the bench, and I mean, really, no one else on Minnesota did much outside of that. Cat with 19, Gobert with 14. But yeah, I mean, just looking at the Suns box score, I mean, Bradley Beal 15 points on 6 of 10 shooting, which isn't bad, but you're looking for hopefully more than that in the playoffs from Beal, and Booker 18 points, but 5 of 16 shooting. So it wasn't there. They only shot 44% for the game, 32% from three. I don't know. They had 15 turnovers. Maybe that's the story of it. But Minnesota had 14. I don't know. That was I think the worst Suns game I've watched all year. And that might have been the best Minnesota can play. Like right now, I mean, it's a close game. Suns are up 4. Like I don't know if this is something we expect for the rest of the series, but yeah, Minnesota with the home court advantage. Anthony Edwards came out firing, talking shit to Kevin Durant during the game. So I said 4-0. Maybe it was maybe that was a little bold of me to predict a sweep against the number 3 seed, but I think it's still there. I think if they win this one and go back to Phoenix tied 1-1, I think you're feeling good as a Suns fan. But then again, if you're Minnesota and you win this one going up 2-0 into Phoenix, if you're able to sneak one of those games, you're feeling great.
I think Minnesota's defense surprised me a lot. I know they've had good defense throughout the season, but Jaden McDaniels on Booker was great. Edwards against Durant was kind of a wash. And I mean, Cat and Gobert played well together. I mean, it's hard for Nurkic to line up against both of them because Cat's almost 7 foot. Gobert obviously is taller. It was just a good game by Minnesota defensively, I feel like. I feel like Phoenix will probably make more of their shots tonight and going forward in the series. They did miss some open ones, but I just thought it was good defense from Minnesota. And obviously the Suns worked on it and they're playing today, so we're going to see how today's game goes. But I think it'll be closer. I don't think it's going to be Minnesota winning the series still, like you said.
No, if I had to realistically say it now, 4-0 was just out of my ass biased. It was probably a 4-2 is what really should have been the prediction, but I would still stick with a 4-2. So if the Suns win tonight, I think they win in 6.
Yeah. We had more matchups happen. The one that's happening tonight as well is Clippers Mavs. I know you said the Mavs were going to win. Clippers came out hot in game one, winning by more than 20 without Kawhi Leonard. Now, Kawhi Leonard is probable to play today. And what do you make of, I mean, Kyrie Irving shouting at his teammates on the bench? Granted, they were down 20, not really trying that hard. What do you make of the Clips, no Kawhi, no problem in game one?
I want to start with Dallas, man. That was bad. I mean, if you have Luka dropping 33, Kyrie with 31, you had Daniel Gafford, their starting center. I mean, Grundy played 14 minutes, 3 points. Uh, Derek Jones Jr. had 0 points in 18 minutes, and PJ Washington had 11 and 37. Their bench did absolutely nothing. They had, let's see, they had less than 20 bench points. I don't blame Kyrie. I mean, that was the typical Kyrie we're used to seeing in all of the places he's gone, but I don't blame him on that one. I mean, when your two star players drop a combined 64 points, you only score 97 total, and you still lose by 12 to the Clippers. I think it's rough. That was definitely an ugly look, but yeah, I mean, going over to the Clippers side, you had Paul George with 22, Zubac with 20, Harden with 28. You had Trey Mann with 13. I mean, they played with a short bench. Only three other people played, only an 8-man rotation. Westbrook had 13. So the fact that they beat Dallas by 12 without Kawhi is, I would say, pretty worrying. I know I picked Dallas to win. I think it's 7, but I, if that starting lineup and bench can't get going, and if Kyrie and Luka have to carry this team and drop 70 points every game, I don't know if I see a path to winning the series if that's how it's going to play.
And Harden played well. I mean, Harden played like prime Harden, crossovers, drawing fouls, getting through the T for the defense, getting out to George, Westbrook for drives. Zubac had a great game. I mean, Daniel Gafford was dominated by Zubac the entire game. So I don't know if that's going to be a story that continues, but if that game is any indication, the Mavericks got to do more. Like, they can't have their two-star players do two-thirds of your points, maybe half, but like, you can't have them do two-thirds of your scoring, and expect to win or be
Yeah.
competitive.
Yeah, that's
So
just
we'll
not
see
a
what
recipe for
happens.
success. I mean, Kyrie and Luka, if that's how it's going to play out, they'll carry them to 1 or 2 wins. But if that's how the rest of the rotation is going to play it, there's not a chance they win the series.
Yeah, to win the series, they got to do better. Elsewise, in the West, we had a crazy game that happened last night. I did not watch the end. I know you texted me about it. Nuggets Lakers. Nuggets escape Denver, go up 2-0 in the series. Crazy game. Lakers in the first half played super well. I mean, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell played very well, especially after D'Lo's rough game one. Lakers in the fourth quarter in game one got sloppy, turned the ball over, and it happened again. The Lakers are up 20 in the third quarter. Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic slowly claw their way back, and of course Jamal Murray hits the step back buzzer beater over Anthony Davis. LeBron was complaining to the refs, or about the refs, I guess, after the game, saying it was the worst officiating in his career. I mean, the Nugs hold off the Lakers. The Lakers played them tough. What do you make of the first two games in that series?
Yeah, I mean, the first one was kind of your typical Denver Nuggets game. I mean, everybody in the starting rotation with double digits. It seemed like they kind of had the Lakers number. But that wasn't, no, this game two was when they were down 20. Game one, it was
Yeah,
pretty much in hand for seemingly the entire game. I mean, Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA. I don't think anyone can argue that at this point. Game one, he went 32, 12, and 7. And then I think game two, it was like, what, 27, 20, and 12 or 10.
yeah,
It's
crazy
just
numbers.
absurd numbers from Jokic. I mean, Anthony, not Anthony Gordon. Oh my
Aaron Gordon.
God. I was trying to say Anthony Davis, and I'm looking at Aaron
Oh,
Gordon's name.
gotcha.
Anthony Davis had 32 points in game one and game two, so he's kind of been that the trendsetter for the Lakers right now. But yeah, I just think the Lakers are too overmatched in the series. Nikola Jokic is too good. Jamal Murray, though he hasn't shot it well, I think he's 9 for 24 in both games. He still, I mean, 22 points in game one, game winner in game two. I mean, I just think there's too much talent on this Nuggets team. I think, Anthony Davis can put up 32 points all he wants, but if they're still losing the games, you know, the Lakers kind of feel like that same Dallas performance where if LeBron and Anthony Davis aren't putting up 80 points a game. I mean, you had Spencer Dinwiddie 0 points in game one. I mean, Rui Hachimura had 7 points. I mean, they had a little bit more production than the Mavericks did outside of their two-star players, but still, this is just the team that has their two elite guys against the Nuggets, who seemingly they have to be the best team outside of the Celtics in the league.
The Lakers, if they wanted to win a game in Denver, it was one of these two games. Like, they were in it close until the third quarter ended. They had to win one of these two. Now,
It
for them to
it
have to,
had to be that last one. It had to be last night.
yeah, for them now to protect home court and then go also to Denver and win a game, it's going to be a tough task. I don't think Denver wins it in five, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they took one in LA and then won one in Denver. Like, I think the
Yeah,
Lakers will for sure get one at home, but it's a tall task to come down 2-0 against the defending champs.
yeah. I mean, you say you don't think five is a stretch. I don't even think four is a stretch. If
Mhm.
if Jokic is going to keep balling like this, it's not out of the question that this is an easy 4-0 sweep. I agree. I think the Lakers probably get one in LA. They probably get this next one. They're going to be hyped up, and it's LA. LeBron
Yeah,
playoffs. There's no way LeBron gets swept out of the playoffs, right? There's just no chance.
never
But
know.
I mean, even last night they were up 20 points going into the fourth, something around
No,
there.
in the third quarter they're up 20,
They
but it
were
was
they were up
like
20,
double
and
digits going into the fourth. Yeah.
they were up seemingly the entire game, and then just I don't know what happened. I don't know if they just stopped playing defense. Jamal Murray kind of started to heat up. So yeah, 9 of 24, 0 for 5 from three, and still ended up with the game winner, 20 points. And I mean, even by Jokic's standards, I mean, 27 points isn't crazy, but 20 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 steals. Michael Porter Jr. with 22 points. That team is just all around. They don't even need a bench. Their bench scored 12 points
Yeah.
last night, and it didn't matter.
Elsewhere in the West, the last game that's also happening tonight was a much closer game than we honestly maybe thought. I mean, we did think the Thunder were going to have issues against whoever they played in game that first series, but the Pelicans held close. I mean, New Orleans beat the Kings, or the 8 seed playing the 1 seed Thunder. 2 point game in OKC. Super defensive game, really sloppy, low scoring, right? Younger teams, of course. Are you worried for OKC, especially since it's reported Zion might come back later in the series? Or do you think that was just the Thunder getting into it and now they'll be fine?
I'm not worried. I thought the Kings were going to win that play-in game, and I even said I think OKC can get a scare in this first round. I think that was their scare. That was their oh shit, like we're really young, we haven't been here before, we've not been in this type of environment, and it definitely showed. I mean, they only scored 94 points. They had again decent performance from Shea, 28.6 rebounds, 4 assists. Not a big deal. Jalen Williams at 19, Chet with 15, but yeah, it showed that maybe they're vulnerable. Maybe they're not the 1 seed that they are, which I don't. I think everyone could probably agree Denver is the best team in the West.
Hmm.
OKC is probably a solid second. It was definitely a surprising game. I think that might have been New Orleans' best shot. Um, that they OKC took New Orleans' best shot for sure. I think they can maybe get a game in New Orleans, but I mean, I this kind of felt like in March Madness when the team that wins it all they get that scare early on in the round of 64 or
Yeah.
32 and then they breeze
Yep.
through. That is what this game felt like. This was their 12-5 almost upset, but you slide through and then you win the tournament. That's
Hmm.
that's what this game felt like. They're 33-8 at home. I'm not worried about OKC right now.
I think the Pelicans, I mean, CJ McCollum shot at the buzzer was interesting. He got locked up tight.
Yeah, that
And then he tried a
was.
one-footed three-pointer. I mean, it nearly went in, so it wouldn't surprise me. But I don't know. I think the Pelicans found some things defensively against the Thunder, but Brandon Ingram disappeared against in that first game. Like he needs to do better in game two. They play later tonight, so we'll see what happens, adjustments they make. But defensively, I liked what the Pelicans did. It's just offensively they were terrible. Careless
Yeah.
turnovers, right? They just need to take better control of the ball. But the Thunder need to do the same. So I think this will be a much higher scoring game than game one, at
Yeah.
least. You know?
For a 1-8 series, it's a fun one to watch. I'll say that the environment
Yes.
in OKC was amazing. Watching that on TV was fun. It's over. I mean, New Orleans probably gets one. I think that was their scare. I think OKC will be fine. But yeah, out of all the series in the West, I think that game was probably the most outside of last night's buzzer beater. That first game
Yeah.
was probably the best game so far out of the West.
We'll switch to the other 1-8 matchup with, well, you can't even see the Miami Heat
Ooh, yeah,
logo on my
you
jersey.
might not want to look at that logo, brother.
I mean, quarter one, the Heat were only down five, and then quarters two and three happened. I mean, the Celtics tied a franchise record for most 3 pointers made in a playoff game. Jason Tatum, Porzingis, they really did really well. They played like I said before the series started. I'm picking Boston, even as a Miami fan, to win the series because it looked like the Heat just couldn't adjust. There's not enough firepower on the offense to keep up with Boston. Game two is surprisingly tomorrow. Of all the game ones that happened on the same day, the Boston Miami one's the only one not happening today. It's
Yeah, that's
weird.
the same with the Suns. They should have played yesterday, but there's only 3 games on Monday. They got an
Yeah,
extra
I
day to
wonder.
rest. So
Yeah, I wonder why. But they're playing tomorrow, which is fine because I can watch it. But I think the Heat will probably play better in game two than it did in game one. But Boston showed why they were the best team in basketball. Like I'm not super surprised by the result. Wishing it was closer, sure. They put a scare in at the end. They only got down 11 with like 4 minutes to go, and they were down 30 earlier in the fourth quarter. But yeah, too many threes from Boston. They played really well.
yeah, it's just I feel bad because the Heat probably could put up a better fight if they had Jimmy Butler, but we know he's going to be out for at least this series. Um, man, I just how the mighty have fallen. The Miami Heat are probably going to get swept out, maybe win a game, but uh, yeah, there's nothing on that team that I'm like, wow, that's insane. Like Bam had 24 and 6, Tyler Hero had 11 points, DeLon Wright bench legend 17 points.
Dude,
Haven't heard that
Devon
in a
Wright
while.
has been a good midseason acquisition. I'm not gonna lie, he played well.
I mean, he was the only one really shooting well. He went 5 for 5 from three, 6 of 7 from the field. But yeah, I mean, when your starting lineup goes a combined, what they made 5 threes out of their starting five, that's not really going to cut it too much. I'll give him a shot in Miami, but this was the Boston just run through that we expected. Whoever was going to make it out of the East to face them. So I'm sorry, buddy. Now,
It's all right. We'll see
I know
about
it
tomorrow.
sucks, but I mean, if they win a game, I think that's a positive for the Heat. The Celtics are just so good this year. I mean, 64 and
They are.
18, 37 and 4 at home. If this team has home field advantage or home court advantage throughout the playoffs, which they're going to have, I
Yeah.
don't really see a path for anybody to beat them. So, they made it, but Jimmy Butler would. I think if they had Jimmy, they probably win 2 games. But
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
Jimmy. There's really not on that team. Like Jaime Jaquez. I don't know. There's nothing there.
We'll go to an even more bigger embarrassment in Florida, and that's the Orlando Magic in their first
Yeah.
round series. This game, like we joked about being on NBA TV last night, nobody watched this game. We will tell you, I didn't watch this game. We'll tell you the Cavs won both. And this series has been as entertaining as we thought it was, which is terribly. I mean, even game one and game two were sloppy defensive struggles. Cavs won, big shock. Donovan Mitchell's good at basketball. Orlando, I mean, they'll probably win one at home, right? But yeah, I mean, I knew the Cavs were going to win. I know you were riding high in Orlando, but the Cavs are just proving that they're a much better team than the Magic.
Did I pick Orlando? No.
You did. You picked the
No.
Magic. You picked the
I'm
Magic.
I'm not gonna lie. I have not watched a single second of this series.
Not even
First of
highlights. I haven't
all,
even watched any
no,
highlights.
no. I just honestly that game, the first game was at 10 a.m. on Saturday. I completely forgot that
Yeah.
they even started that early, so missed that. But the fact that I don't think is anybody really watching it, but also why are games on NBA TV? Not everybody has NBA TV. Like what other sport do you have playoffs on? I mean, we know the NFL tried their Peacock game and whatever, that was fine, but
Yeah.
every put it on TNT, ESPN. Why is it on NBA? Because there's a game on NBA TV tonight. It's the Bucks versus Bucks
The
Pacers is on
Pacers.
NBA
They,
TV,
they
and I
don't
can't
want
watch that
either.
game.
They don't want either of those two series on national television. They don't.
No, they don't. But yeah, no, I can't even give commentary on the Magic Cavs because I've literally watched zero of it because it's either A, not been on TV I can watch, or two, I haven't given a shit enough about those two teams.
Most of America would agree with you. We did have a 3-6 matchup happened 2 days ago, one day ago between the Bucks and Pacers.
And it was
And the
2 days,
biggest
yeah.
thing 2 days ago, the biggest thing was Dame time arrived. I mean, no Giannis, no problem. I mean, 35 points in the first half, 0 in the second half, might I add. He
You
didn't
don't
score
need
a
it.
single point in the second half. But he didn't need it because the Pacers were down pretty much 13 the entire game. Pacers never got close to the 9 the rest of the way. Dame was crazy. Dame was hitting logo threes to end the quarter, crazy shots, right? I mean, that second quarter, they just blew it open by 20 and they never really looked back. I still think Indiana plays better and Dame doesn't go this crazy next game, and they will miss Giannis a little bit more. And especially if the series goes back to Indiana, they'll probably get a game. But this was tough for the Pacers. This was okay, you were good in the regular season, you won the in-season tournament, but this is a whole different time of year. And the Bucks proved, yeah, we've won a championship with most of our core, so you got to respect us.
Yeah, and I mean, they lost by 15. Tyrese Halliburton did not have a good game scoring. I mean, 8 assists, 7 rebounds is still nice, but when your best player only has 9 points, he only took 7 shots all game. That's kind of not really what you're looking to see in the playoffs. Granted, Pascal Siakam, 15 for 25 with 36 points, 13 rebounds that's a great performance from him. He was still -9 and plus minus. Miles Turner had a decent game with 17 points. I said it. I said the Bucks would be fine without Giannis. They might lose one, but Dame time, baby. That's my MVP. 6 for 11 from three. Insane. 35 points, and no one really had to do much else. I mean, Chris Middleton had 23, and that was the second best on the team. Everyone else kind of just middling double-digit points, and they were able to coast to an easy win. Game's on right now. Let me check the score of it, but I know it just started. The Pacers are up by 1 early in the
Mhm.
first, so Dame, holy shit, Dame's already got 12 points. I'm telling you, dude, that's my MVP.
I mean, he won't win it. He didn't make it to the top three of voting, but I'm glad. I'm glad
Well,
he's your MVP still.
yeah, he might be my MVP net pick next year. So we'll see.
Okay. Now, the matchup that we waited last to talk about in the East is definitely the most controversial. We have newly, what was it, most improved player Tyrese Maxey won the award today. It just got announced. But the Knicks and Sixers, you good?
Yeah, someone's breaking into my house.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it's just Grace. Never mind.
We had yesterday was game two of Knicks Sixers in New York. Definitely not controversial ending.
No.
Entirely controversial. Sixers were up five with 38 seconds, somehow lose the game. Definitely, there was two foul calls in the last 2 minute review, which were missed against the Knicks, which would put the Sixers on the foul line. Timeout was supposed to be called, which wasn't called, which led to a turnover, which led to a Dante DiVincenzo three ball, which wins the game. Joel Embiid looked like a man who just lost his puppy in the locker room afterwards, just head down, sad, depressed, not a great look. And honestly, Embiid got hurt game one, and the Knicks kind of just made it happen, winning game one. Do you still give the Philly? We both picked Philly to win. Do you still give them a chance in this series, or are the Knicks just going to use that advantage?
I mean, I don't know. 2-0. Embiid's going back home. He says that they're going to win them both. This is what I said. Philly is, I think I said Philly might be the biggest playoff chokers in like the history of sports. And I think it's showing yet again that they are not a team built for the playoffs. They have Joel Embiid, they have Tyrese Maxey, who just won Most Improved Player of the Year, and Jalen Brunson is apparently the GOAT. There's no beating Jalen Brunson. He might go undefeated throughout the playoffs. But I will say they got hoed last night. They definitely got hoed. They should have. I can't say they should have won because there still would have been time left, but they should have had a very good opportunity at winning. The refs took away. They should have been granted the timeout. There should have been two fouls called. Um, it sucks. The funniest thing that happened last night is when they were on the other side shooting free throws and they were up five. Their announcers were talking about how it's 1-1 going back to Philly. The series is over now, and then all of that ensues, and it's like, well, now you're down 2-0. I mean, out of all of the series, I think Philly still has a solid chance at coming back. I think
Mhm.
they, if there was any team down 2-0, Philly's probably the one that I'm like, okay, they might still have a chance. I think they could very easily win the next two at home. Um, but I don't know. Embiid getting hurt in that first game just kind of shows he's paper thin. Um, this is another series that's just I thought it was going to be a coin flip, and the Knicks came out and blasted them 2 games at MSG. And if Philly comes out flying and wins game three, I mean, I think there's a really good chance. But yeah, if they lose one of these games at home, I think the series is over.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, paper thin Embiid. It's not his fault he got hurt, but it kind of is because he did dunk on somebody, yammed on him, and it landed on his leg too hard,
Yep.
messed up his knee. He also isn't blinking one of his eyes. He has a corneal injury, by the way, which, as a future eye doctor, I can understand. He
Yeah.
can't
Flex
blink his
Thomas.
left eye. When he blinks, he only blinks his right eye. His left eyelid doesn't move. So this man is on like so many painkillers trying to get through playing this game. He doesn't know what city he's even playing in, probably. But for Philly, they got to hold court. They got to win both games at home, or like you said, I think the Knicks win this series, which is a shame because
Yeah.
you both picked Philly to win.
Yeah.
We'll look, of course, in the future games of this series. All the higher seeds have won their games so far, by the way. No upset at all has happened in the playoffs. It's been chalk.
Yeah.
Do you think that
Yeah.
continues tonight?
Well, no, because I think the Suns probably win tonight. The Pacers are up 3 right now, and I think the Mavs probably get one. So I think if this might be the anti series where
Chalk. Yeah.
all the underdogs win. So I don't
All
know.
right.
We'll see. But I think next time, but we should have the end of round one. No, we definitely will not.
No, unless there's a sweep. Unless there's a
Yeah,
sweep, we won't.
yeah. Unless everything just goes 4-0 or 4-1, probably will
Yeah.
not have it by the end. But we'll
Yeah,
probably
we'll
have a
see what
couple series
happens.
done by then.
We'll transition swiftly into some baseball action. I mean, again, we're 23 games in now, something like that for most baseball teams. Quickly running through some of the main highlights. Do you know the Guardians were baseball's best team?
They are.
That, Who would have thought the Cleveland Guardians and the Kansas City Royals are having a great year, and they're only in second in their division because the Guardians have been using, I don't know, friendship, like Lucky Charms. How is this team so good? Why is Cleveland the second best team in
Dude,
baseball?
I don't have a clue. Looking at their run differential, they're plus 55, which is far above the second best at plus 38 from the Braves. I mean, I don't even think I can name like four players on the Guardians. I thought they were going to be that bad. I mean,
Hmm.
granted, they haven't played the best competition. They beat the A's, they beat the Red Sox, they beat the Twins, the White Sox, the Mariners, and the A's again. So, how much of this can we really say, hey, they're 17-6 and the best team in baseball, or can we look at it as, hey, they've played the A's seven times, the Red Sox six times, and the White Sox and Twins six times?
Yeah,
Granted, they're scoring a lot of runs. They're fourth in runs. They're sixth in batting average. They're fifth in slugging. Pitching has been great. Actually, sorry, bullpen pitching has been great. They haven't gotten a lot of quality starts, but they have a 3 ERA as a team. They're not the best team in baseball. This team probably won't even make the playoffs. Let's be honest. Their
really.
schedule's yeah, their schedule is definitely about to start picking up a little bit. They get Boston. Their next their next three series, I think, are probably going to show what this team really is. They go to Atlanta, to Houston, and then they host the Angels, who aren't great, but I feel like the Angels and the Guardians coming into the season were probably on that same wavelength of
Threshold,
where
yeah.
they're going to finish. I mean, even after that, they host Detroit, who just won a series against the Rays. They're I think 13-10.
They are.
Their schedule definitely picks up a lot, but I would say they're probably the most surprising team so far. So shout out to the Cleveland Guardians for not being in the cellar of the AL Central.
What's funny is you're reading all those stats, and I was reading them with you because I was on the ESPN page on the
So
stat on the little
I
stat
mean,
box.
ESPN is great, dude. It breaks everything down for you. Like I wouldn't have been able to tell you Stephen Kwan is batting 351. Wouldn't be able to pull that one out of my ass, but
Hmm. From great to one of the worst teams in baseball, and again, we've talked about it last episode, is the Houston Astros really suck. They got swept against Atlanta over the weekend. Or not over the weekend, sorry, last week. They lost two of three to Washington. They're 7-16. Granted, they're losing again to Chicago 5-2. This team is bad. They're third in batting average, but they're second to last in ERA. This pitching has been atrocious by Houston. They've
yeah.
given up 124 runs. That's most in the American League. Only the Marlins and Rockies have given up more runs in all of baseball. Do you think Houston continues in this downward trend, or do you think they finally pick it back up and remember that they're a good baseball team?
I mean, you would think that they have to. This is what we do every year. Houston has a bad start, or they'll go through, a 20 game stretch where they win seven games, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's all falling apart." And then they make the playoffs, they make the ALCS. I think this is exactly what's going to happen again. Is this team? Jordan Alvarez is not going to continue to have a midseason. Jose Altuve, though he's batting 351, he's their best player right now. Kyle Tucker's having a pretty good year so far as well. I think they've been bad luck so far. I Their pitching hasn't been great. I mean, Verlander threw 6 innings in his debut. He looked good, but I mean, they're if you look at their stats, they're average. Like their run score, they're 18th, batting average, they're third, on base percentage, they're fifth, slugging, they're sixth. Their pitching is just awful. Earned run average, they're above a five. Their quality starts are good. Their whip is bottom two in the league. Batting average against is bottom three in the league. This team has no pitching. It's, Ronel Blanco was the great story to start the year with his no hitter and 15 innings of no hit baseball. But outside of Ronel Blanco, there's not much. We talked about it last week. Their bullpen is absolutely atrocious. And hey, I think the night we recorded that episode, I think Josh Hader blew another save opportunity, or he
Yep.
got lit
He
up,
is
something like that.
he's allowed more runs this year than he has last, and we're already only
Yeah,
in April.
yeah. So
It's crazy.
yeah, if their bullpen can figure it out, this team will be fine. And I mean, I
It's just
have
figuring it
faith.
out though.
Yeah, I have faith that eventually Josh Hader, Ryan Presley will get it figured out because I mean their starting rotation isn't bad. Like Ronel Blanco, to be honest, we have not heard of this guy ever before he started. But I mean, you throw a no hitter in your
Yeah.
first start, I'm giving you respect. Christian Javier, JP France, Hunter Brown, Framber Valdez, Justin Verlander. I mean, that's a solid, top 10, 15 rotation in the league. The bullpen should be way better than it is.
We'll move swiftly to the NL East, where we have two teams to
Oh,
talk
oh.
about. Not the
By the
not.
way, before we move
Yep.
on,
Yep.
Cubs Astros, you'd think that'd be a good series, right? Coming into the
It's
season, you're like
$3 get in price.
$3 to get in tomorrow night for Cubs
Yep.
Astros. Where beginning of the season, I'm like, wow, that's a good series. Like if I'm a Cubs fan or an Astros fan, like I want to go to Wrigley and watch that series. If you
Yep.
are a fan of those teams, you can get in tomorrow $3. That is embarrassing.
Just a fan of baseball. Why not go to Wrigley for
Yeah,
$3? Like if I was
yeah,
in
dude.
Chicago, I'd
Yeah,
go.
exactly. If I'm in Chicago right now, I'm buying tickets to a Cubs game for $3. I don't care if it's like Oakland versus the Cubs. Three
Yeah,
dollars
it's
for
three
tickets
bucks.
is
Yeah.
$3 tickets is wild.
Now you got to piss in a trough, but like it's okay. You can get
Yeah,
through the traumatic experience.
yeah. Hey, for $3 tickets, I'm buying like two $16 beers and feeling good about it.
You're doing the 9 inning challenge with the 9 hot dogs
Hey,
or 9 beers.
I I am in fact going to accomplish that one day. I
Oh my
I
god.
promise you it will happen.
I think that should be our new fancy punishment. Yeah, or for Jason, he has to do 9 innings,
Oh
nine
yeah,
beers, nine.
yeah.
Nine.
I'm
That'd be
I'm just
crazy.
gonna do it for fun. I made it. I think 6-6 once. That was the farthest I got. I
Crazy.
was close.
Well, transition to the NL East, where we got two teams we're talking about. Mainly, firstly, the Phillies won seven straight, granted against the Rockies and against the White Sox. They're getting lit up 8-1 by the Reds right now. But this is a team that's only a game back of Atlanta. We knew going into the series, I mean, or into the season, should I say, that these two teams were going to vie it out for the NL East. You know, the Phillies have made it to this World Series, what, back-to-back seasons? No,
They didn't make the
just
World
last year.
Series last year.
The year before, sorry. And they lost to
Yeah,
the Diamondbacks. That's what it was.
yeah.
But have had deep runs. You know, their lineup is loaded. You know, Trey Turner's actually remembering to hit the ball, unlike he did at the end of last year. Kyle Schwarber's got six homies. Alec Bohm, not 18 RBI. But I mean, the Phillies have been a good team, and the Braves have been right on their trail. If you had to guess who's leading baseball in home runs and RBIs, would your first thought be Marcell
Marcel
Ozuna,
Ozuna. Ozuna from the Braves. Yes, he's gonna win MVP this year.
former Marlins great? This guy was convicted, and the case was dropped by throat choking, slamming his wife at the time 2 years ago against the wall. He got suspended some games, but he's not in jail. He's mashing homers for the Braves at 33 years young. But the Braves are so good. I mean, they're whooping the Marlins butt 5-0 right now. Not a surprise. Did you know 23 teams in baseball have 10 wins or more?
Yeah, it's a good year for baseball right now. There's a lot of competitive teams. I mean, just that stat alone, if you look at it, I mean, the AL East, every team has 12 wins or more. Every team is
Mm-hmm.
500. The AL Central has three teams that have 13 or more wins. The AL West is actually probably one of the worst divisions, only has a team with 12 and 11. The NL
Mm-hmm.
Central has four teams above 10. The NL East has four teams above 10. The NL Central has all five above 10. And then the NL West has four teams with 11 or more. So this is a good year for mid teams being mid, and we have to respect that.
It's good parity, and I think it's attributed also because the White Sox, Marlins, and Rockies stuck so bad. They all have 18 or more losses already, and we're only 24, 25
Yeah.
games into the season. That's atrocious. Like each of these teams have a winning percentage. The White Sox have a winning percentage of 136. They have 3 and
They're
19.
bad.
They've been shut out, I think, in 7 games already this season, which is the most to start a season in a 25 game stretch. So
Yeah.
it's also helped because the teams that suck, man, they suck. They really
Yeah.
suck.
No, yeah, that's there. You say parity, and then there's three teams that have a combined like 7 wins. So
Yeah. Yep. If you put the Marlins, Rockies, and White Sox win total, you would get still worse than the Braves. So,
yeah, exactly.
but we'll cover more baseball and more basketball next week, of course. But now we're getting into the real meat of this video, and that is our mock draft. Now, of course, there's 90 million mock drafts online. Mel Kiper, Field Yates, ESPN's, CBS, NFL's, you know them all. We're going to do our best crack at it now. Taylor's going to take the even picks, which I'm going to get the odd picks, mainly because he wants to pick number 2 for Washington. And how it's going to go is just going to be
No,
back and
that's not
forth.
why. No, it was just random, completely random.
Yeah. But how we're going to go, we're going to be no trades, straight out on PFF with their mock draft simulator. Just round 1. We're going to see how well we do, and we'll compare it to Thursday. I'm going to try and write down the results of the picks at the same time so we have it. I mean, they'll probably save, so I can just take a screenshot at the end
Yeah,
also. But we're going to start with round 1, pick 1. You ready?
yeah, go for it.
All right. So with the first pick, the Bears are going to pick Caleb Williams. I think it's the worst kept secret in football.
Whoa,
I think
what?
they even said they know who they're picking. Pick one. I mean, they only met with Caleb Williams. He's the only quarterback they met with. They've had lunch with him like 5 times. Um, DJ Moore has already flown out to meet him along with other defensive players. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Caleb Williams is only 22 years old, played pretty dang well in college, had 3,600 passing yards last year, 4,500 the year before, 35 touchdown interception record. I think it's a home run pick. I don't think there's anyone else to really compete.
Yeah, that's fair. So I think you know where I'm going with the number 2 pick. I've said it in the last 2 episodes that this is where JJ McCarthy goes. JJ McCarthy will be the second overall pick in the draft this year, and I am the more days that pass is the more confident I am in this pick. JJ McCarthy is the answer.
Man, so I got to scroll down to find JJ McCarthy in this
You
to
just
pick him a
type his
quarterback.
name.
He's 28th ranked by PFF, 10 ADP though. So I mean, they are projected him to go above where he likely would be ranked if he wasn't a quarterback, though it's a premium position. I mean, if this happens, I mean, the Commanders have said that they are set, that they're not trading this pick. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a quarterback, and it could very well be JJ McCarthy. So I wouldn't be shocked. With the third
Yo,
pick,
hold on. You said I wouldn't be shocked, even though I said this 2 episodes ago that JJ's going first, and you called me crazy. So I don't want to
no,
hear it.
no, that they would pick, not that they would pick McCarthy, just that they
Oh,
would pick
okay.
and wouldn't trade. That's
Okay.
what I mean. No, the McCarthy pick is insane. But I think just not pick, I think just not picking instead of trading it is what I think is what we know. That's what I meant. Um, at number three, the New England Patriots. I would wish I could pick them the kicker, but I'm going to be fair and pick like their actual GM. You know, they need a quarterback. They got rid of Mac Jones this offseason, traded him to Jacksonville. I think they need a quarterback. It's going to be close between Drake May and Jaden Daniels. I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels. I think the Heisman winner goes to New England. Dual threat ability, maybe a little bit more inexperienced, which is or like needs a little bit more time to like work on everything, make sure he's fully ready, which is perfect because they have Jacoby Brissett to also be there as a quarterback, kind of like Tua was for the Dolphins his first year, or Ryan Fitzpatrick, should I say? So give me Jaden Daniels to the Patriots. I hate that pick because I think he's going to be good, but I think that's who the Patriots should pick.
And I gotta scroll really far down for Jared Williams here. See, why is he not even? Where is he
Jaden
at?
Daniels, just go by quarterback.
Oh, yeah. Why did I say Williams? I was like,
Maybe that's why you
I
can't
was
find
looking
him.
at. I'm looking at Caleb. I keep looking at names and saying other things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I think that pick is between Drake May or Jaden Daniels. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I feel like that one could probably go either way. The Patriots love their unathletic white quarterbacks, so Drake May
Yep.
is absolutely on the table there. Number 4, I think this trade. I think this pick gets traded. I think that's going to end up being the move. I think Arizona's going to end up moving down. But
Mm-hmm.
since we're not doing trades, because that would just be a whole shit show to do, I think they're going to. If they were to stay at 4, they're taking Marvin Harrison Jr., and I don't even really think that's questionable.
Yeah, I mean, he had 1,200 yards back-to-back seasons, son of a Hall of Famer, Marvin Harrison, Colts legend. He's really good. Like, I think if he wasn't a wide receiver, he would be in contention for the number one pick. There were games he carried for Ohio State. Like, Ohio State didn't have reason to win some of their games, but he just willed them to wins. I think he's going to be great in the NFL. At number 5, we got the new Michigan Chargers. I mean, sorry, the LA Chargers. It seems like half the Ravens are following Harbaugh to the Chargers. They just got rid of Keenan Allen. They don't have Mike Williams anymore. They need a young wide receiver to pair with uh, Justin Herbert. Give me
Oh,
Malik. Go ahead.
sorry, Grayson Allen just got hurt.
Oh, man. Give me Malik Nabers from LSU. I think he's a legit wide receiver one. Super quick, super fast. Honestly, similar to a Jarvis Landry build coming out of college. I think he's going to do great, put up a lot of numbers because they don't have much of a receiving core in LA. So give me the Chargers. Give me Malik Nabers.
Yeah, they have a lot of needs. I can see them going tight end. I can see them going O line. I can see them going wide receiver. I could see Harbaugh taking Blake Corum at this point and just hey, maybe he even gets JJ McCarthy. We'll see,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't hate it. I like Malik Neighbors with that offense. We'll see. yeah, the Chargers have a lot of holes to fill. So, good thing they have like how many picks this year?
The
I think they have a good
Chargers,
amount. Yeah, they have a good amount of picks, don't they?
they have, I could tell you in just a minute. Well, of course, it gives me, they have 9 picks in the NFL
Yeah,
draft.
yeah. So
Yeah, they've got 9.
pretty decent. But with the sixth overall pick, I think this one's also a no-brainer. It's going to depend on which quarterback's there. In our draft, Jayden Daniels went. Taking Drake May. I'm taking Daniel Jones' successor from his rival school, the UNC boy himself, Drake May. I could see them. Can I see them doing anything else? I don't know. I maybe go
They could
wide
pick not a
receiver.
quarterback. Yeah, they could
Yeah,
pick
I
not a
mean
quarterback.
they could go Rome Odunze, but up. Oh my god, I don't know. Actually, do 3 wide receivers go 4, 5, 6? I don't think so. I think they go Drake May. This could all. This could also be a spot where someone trades up, like a Vikings to trade up to 6 too. I could see.
Yeah, I think the Giants they need talent. So I think
Yeah,
they trade. If they think Daniel Jones is their guy for one more season, right? Even if it's for just one more year, they should trade down and get some assets. I think it's the perfect spot for them, like you said. Number 7, Tennessee Titans. They signed Calvin Ridley to a mega deal to go with DeAndre Hopkins, reformed the running back room, get Tony Pollard. They made a lot of signings on defense, so they probably need more offensive talent. Give me Joe Alt
yeah,
at a offensive
yeah.
tackle. They just lost Andre Dillard. Wasn't a great pickup from the Eagles. This guy's massive, great player. Had played all of his snaps at left tackle, 90 PFF rating. Only allowed 4 sacks in college. Only allowed 5 quarterback hits in college. He's done good against the pass and the run. He's 6'8", 322. That's a big boy. And he's only 21. So he's a young,
Yeah.
strong offensive tackle. And he's a slam dunk pick for them.
Yeah, he's giving off major Penei Sewell vibes. That is going to
Yeah.
be their Penei Sewell, where you're just going to stick him in the lineup and he's going to be an all pro for 15 years. I think that's a
Yeah.
solid pick for him. Number 8, this one's weird because it's Atlanta. They've got a new head coach. They hopefully are going to have a new revamped offense. Who's the quarterback in Atlanta this year?
Kirk Cousins signed with
Kirk
Atlanta.
Cousins,
And they
bro.
are not losing this pick due to tampering, which they're being
Yeah.
investigated for because it's the investigation is not going to end until after the draft. So
So
they're not losing any picks this year.
their offense is honestly set up. They've got Kirko, they've got Kyle Pitts, they've got Drake London, they have Bijan Robinson. They need to address the other side of the ball. I'm gonna go. I don't know. Do they go corner? Or do they go D line? I'll take a corner. It's not going to be Cooper Jean. I don't think. I think he's going to slip. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But I'm going to take the
Mm-hmm.
corner out of Toledo, Quinyon Mitchell.
All
Bigger.
right.
I think he's 6 foot. I think he's a little bit bigger than DeJean. And he's got a
Mm-hmm.
really good PFF grade, which again, granted, PFF is kind of garbage sometimes with their grades, but I like the Quinyon Mitchell pick. I like the bigger corners. We'll see. I don't think they're going to go offense. I'd be shocked if they went offense with their first pick. I like Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah, and they need cornerback help, I think that division, we've talked about it before, if they can just get their defense right, their offense will be fixed, hopefully with Kirk Cousins there, guiding their offense. So if they can just shut down opposing wide receivers, they probably, like you said, also D-line help would be good. I think they'll be much better next season than the 8th pick. That's their hope, right? That's why they signed Kirk for all that money.
Yeah.
At 9, again, I have Chicago to pick. Thank you, Carolina, for being terrible at your jobs, giving Chicago the first pick. They got Caleb Williams, they got Keenan Allen, they've got DJ Moore. Could they do with another wide receiver? Maybe. Brock Bowers is there at tight end. They've got Cole Kmet. At running back, they signed DeAndre Swift to be running back. I don't think they're going to pick one here. It's too early to pick another running back. So give me some help on defense. They got to chase down Jared Goff and the Lions. They got to get after Jordan Love and the Packers. I don't know, whoever the hell the Vikings put at quarterback this season. So give me Jerzon Newton from Illinois. I think they stay home. They pick the homegrown talent from Chicago, right? Right in their backyard. Big defensive tackles. Not huge, but 295 pounds, right? He's really good against the run. So I think this is what they need. They need some big boys in the middle. You know, can never have too many offensive or defensive line players. So I'm going to take Jer'Zhan Newton out of Illinois to be the
I
ninth
mean,
overall pick.
8 sacks last year as an interior lineman. I mean, you're taking that all day, so that's not a bad pick for them. Number
Mm-hmm.
10. Oh, I got to quick draft. Number 10 is the Jets. It's
Mm-hmm.
weird because last year they should have been a good team. Aaron Rodgers goes down with the Achilles. You know, do they go another wide receiver to put aside Garrett Wilson? I don't know. I, I think this is where Brock Bowers goes. I think Brock Bowers is going to be
Really?
that. Yeah, I think Brock Bowers is going to be that fun, like hybrid tight end wide receiver. I mean, he was the best tight end in college football for 2 years. You know, he could block, he could catch, he could do everything. I think that's exactly what the Jets need is just somebody to catch the ball outside of Garrett Wilson. You know, I think Roma Dunze is on the table there as well. But I think they're just going to try and put everything they can around Aaron Rodgers, knowing his injury history, knowing they're not going to have a ton of time left with him. I think they're going to go all out on the offense.
And, you know, like you said, they signed Mike Williams, who got cut by the Chargers. So they're good on wide receiver. That would be if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, that's a very scary offense, you know?
Yeah.
You know, that's a very scary offense. Because their run game was great last season, too. So that'd be very scary. With the 11th pick, the Vikings, desperate need of a quarterback, honestly, but I think all the great ones have already left. I think, you know, maybe need a tight end. No, they have Hawkinson. Why do they say they need a tight end? Uh, they need a quarterback, but if this is how the draft falls, I think they trade down. I don't think they pick either Michael Penix or Bo Nix this high. With this
No.
pick, they have another first round pick later in the draft, which they could maybe use. They need talent. They need to keep Justin Jefferson in town, right? This is a tough one because their main positions of need aren't super high on here. So I'm going to go with best player available, at least in my eyes. I'm going Byron Murphy the second, defensive tackle out of Texas. Again, 91 PFF grading. Again, take a grain of salt. He's only 21. He's 6'1", 308. He's a big boy. Like, this is a guy who was considered one of the best defensive players in all of football last year, especially in the Big 12, now the SEC, because Texas has moved. Um, Great player, 6 sacks out of defensive tackle position. We just talked about it with Newton going to the Bears. Healthy most of his career. I think this is a good pick for them just to pick best player available, or maybe even trade down at this point, right? I know they traded up to get an extra pick in the first round, but if they can't get a quarterback, I think they're fine with this pick.
I don't hate it. I'm going to get controversial here with the Broncos. I think they take a swing. I think they don't have another first round pick. They see that the
Yep.
Vikings are going to have one. They see, who else could possibly snag a quarterback? The Rams, maybe. Um, maybe Tampa tries to take something there. I don't know. I think Baker's got it locked down. You have the Cardinals at pick 27, who maybe they end up moving on from. Oh my God, Kyler Murray. I
Yeah.
think they take their quarterback here. If they don't trade down a little bit, which I think is also a possibility, I think they're going to take their quarterback, which I think this is going to be the first kind of like big surprise of the draft is pick 12. They're going to take Bo Nix.
Really? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. They just traded for another white failure quarterback and Zach Wilson.
Yeah, he ain't doing shit there. It does not matter. I don't care. Zach Wilson is not playing. Is not starting the season as that quarterback. There's no way.
I hope not. Now, this, of course, ruined the plans of the Raiders, who probably also need a quarterback. You know, they don't have a great quarterback right now in Vegas. So if this happens during draft night, they're probably kicking the air. I think, they have a lot of needs. Josh Jacobs is no longer a Raider, but way too high to pick a running back, right? They need help on the offensive line badly. Defense is just a mess for them. So I think I would love for this to be a Miami Dolphin pick, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to go for a little bit of a swing, and I'm going to definitely mispronounce his name. I'm going Olumuyiwa Fashanu. I'm going Olumuyiwa Fashanu, offensive tackle, Penn State. He's got 6'6", 320. He's only 21. The Raiders have been really weird with their draft picks in the last couple of years. None of them have really hit. This is a guy who, if he can develop, can be a great offensive tackle. His pass blocking is great. I don't think they pick a wide receiver, even though they could probably use one to go along with Devontae Adams. But yeah, I'm taking the offensive tackle from Penn State. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name again.
Yeah. All right, 14. The New Orleans Saints. Do you move on? Do you find a new quarterback? Not in the first round, you don't. They don't need a wide receiver right now. Rome Odunze is still on the board, which kind of surprising. But I mean, every year there's always someone that we're like, wow, he's going to go top 10 and end up falling. Looks like this
hmm
is Rome Odunze's time because I don't know who's going to take him. But I'll go tackle. I'm going to take another hard name to pronounce out of Oregon State, Talis Fuaga.
Okay. I respect it. They do need an offensive tackle. They do need help to keep Derek Carr upright. He
Keep
got
Derek
sacked a
Carr
ton last
alive.
year. He got sacked a ton. I watched some Saints games, and he did not have a chance to breathe in New Orleans. So maybe that changes this year. With the 15th pick, we got the Colts. This is where I think they are licking their chops, and they're picking Romeo Dunze immediately. If he falls this far, to go with Mike Pittman Jr., Anthony Richardson's obviously the quarterback there. They got Jonathan Taylor. This is a great wide receiver. 1,600 yards last year on 92 catches, 6'3", 218. He could essentially be a top 10 pick if the draft falls right. I mean, from Vegas, this would be an amazing pick for the Colts to have their wide receivers of the future, similar to when they had Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne. Marvin Harrison Jr. obviously is not going to go here, but I think this is a slam dunk pick. If they get the chance to pick Romeo Dunze and not to trade up, they're running this to the front of the draft. So I'm
Yeah.
picking Romeo Dunze here to stop his fall.
All right, 16, the Seahawks. Seahawks don't really need much on offense. I think that offense is cooking with Geno, Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, JSN. I think that team's cooking on offense. I think they're also going to go. I think they're going to go tackle as well. Maybe not. No, they're not. I'm not taking a tackle for them. They're going. They're going Dallas Turner. Maybe
Dallas
someone that
Turner
could go.
edge.
Yeah, they could go anywhere from top 10. Dallas Turner can also be at the bottom of the first round. He's kind of one of those unknown Alabama players that everyone seems to love him. PFF doesn't really like him. 81 grade. Again, take that with a grain of salt. But Dallas Turner, a big name that I think could go anywhere in the first round. And I think right in the middle is probably a solid spot.
Jacksonville's on the clock now. I think they've invested enough in their offense. I know they just lost Calvin Ridley. They did, of course, sign Gabe Davis to replace him. Still got Trent T-Law. Still got, wow, I'm forgetting his name. The running back. Wow, he went to Florida. Or not to Florida, Clemson. Travis
Travis
Etienne.
Etienne. I was going to say
Yeah,
Tank
Travis
Bigsby,
Etienne.
but that,
No,
I think
I mean, they do have Tank
Auburn
Bigsby, right?
legend. Auburn legend.
Auburn legend. I think, unfortunately, for the Dolphins, Cooper DeJean gets picked here. I think they need a defensive back. A white man can't jump. PFF does not rate him well, but he could play outside corner, safety, slot corner, and the Jags need someone who has versatility on defensive back. I think this is a great pick for them. He does need a little bit of time to develop and pick a position because I think people who switch, we saw Isaiah Simmons got picked a couple years ago by the Cardinals, and now that he's just a linebacker, he's a little bit better. But I think Cooper DeJean, this is a perfect fit for him in Jacksonville. He's going to get a lot of reps, probably start day one. He's only 21. I think he goes here to Jacksonville.
Pick 18, the Cincinnati Bengals are on the board. This would have been a fun place for Brock Bowers to go, I feel like. If Brock Bowers went to this offense that's loaded, but I don't think he's going to fall that far. We'll go tackle. There's a lot of them to pick from. Do we go with the Alabama big boys? Or do we go with Troy? I don't even know how to say his name. Damn, there's a lot of people this year that I can't even say their name. Troy Fautanu. Yep. I'm honestly just gonna flip a coin because I'm not a ball knower. I don't know offensive tackles in college that much, so I hate Alabama, so I can't take them. We're taking Troy Fautanu.
All right. I mean, and if you've noticed, there's a lot of tackles available this year. You don't have to draft a tackle in the first round because tackle is one of the has the biggest depth in this draft, I feel like, and wide receiver does as well. There's a lot of good receivers and a lot of good tackles this season to where I think even if you don't go in the first round, you could still get a day one starter. if you pick right. The Rams are on the clock, and this is where I would have loved Bo Nix to have gone to the Rams, to him with I said JJ McCarthy, uh, to the Rams to back up Matthew Stafford. I'm taking Michael Penix Jr. to go from
Oh,
Washington to the Rams. I think Matthew Stafford's got 2 years left on him, and that's it. Michael Penix, I know, is about to turn 24. He's an older quarterback. I think he's accurate. He's got decent arm strength. He's got to develop a little bit more, which is perfect. He'll take the time behind Matthew Stafford. He can cook in this offense, I think, if he gets a year. And look what happened when Matthew Stafford got hurt, right? 2 years ago. They weren't very good. They were actually one of the worst teams in football. I do know they need to replace Aaron Donald. I get that. But I think they don't pass up on Michael Penix to get him here. Next year's quarterback class isn't that deep. They go Michael Penix Jr. here.
interesting. All right. The Steelers on the clock. The Steelers have a ton of work that they have to do. I think on both sides of the ball. I think they go wide receiver here. Which one do I think? Do we go with Donnie Mitchell or the other one from Texas, Xavier Worthy? I think they're both going to be really good. I'm going to take Xavier Worthy here. I think
Ooh.
this might be an absolute reach,
Mm-hmm.
but I like him. I mean, he was what a 4-year starter at Texas. PFF hates him, but I mean, last year 75 catches for 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns. The year before 757, 981. I mean, I think it's there. I do. I mean, he's 6'1", 172. Sorry, 3-year starter at Texas. He's only 20. He's not even 21 years old yet. I mean, he will be when the season starts, but I like it. I like Xavier Worthy to go aside George Pickens.
I'm about to say he'd be a good compliment because Pickens is a
Yeah,
big, not saying Pickens isn't fast, but Pickens is a big press ball receiver, can fight his way through contact. Worthy can't, but Worthy can fly. He can do more than
yeah,
fly. But
yeah.
I think that's a good complimentary pick. The Dolphins are rumored who are the next on the clock, of course, and we're both going to be very interested to see who they pick here. But I know there was rumors that he would be into there as well. This draft is falling great for the Dolphins, honestly. There's a couple of people I think they could take. Latu Latu is honestly looking like a reincarnation of Jalen Phillips, who was hurt, might not start the season. Bradley Chubb hurt, might not start the season. They do need some edge depth as well. They did sign Shaq Barrett in the offseason, but they have the future edge pieces. I don't think they go Latu here. I think if they get an offensive tackle or an offensive guard, they would be great. But I'm going with the player who I really want them to take the most. They struggled in this the most. I think they should have picked this position 2 years ago when the Chiefs did, and he made a Pro Bowl, though I can't remember his name, the center. I'm taking Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon to the Dolphins. They need a center. This guy can start from day one. 21 years old, younger guy, similar to Austin Jackson when they picked him a couple years ago. Tua. I'm picking Jackson Powers Johnson. If they pick this on Thursday, I would be happy.
And Connor Williams, rest in peace.
He's not even on the team. He's not
I
even on the
know,
team. Right,
I know,
retire.
man. The Eagles with the 22nd pick. What does the Eagles need? They need secondary help badly.
Yep.
So I think this one, if this is where it falls, I think this is an easy one. I think of Terry and Arnold out of Alabama. Regarded really high by PFF, 6 foot, almost 200 pounds. He's 21 years old. Played the slot a lot, not a lot. Got experience in the slot last year. I think they're going to be looking for help on the back end. They got CJ Gardner Johnson back, but I think they're going to address it. They're going to go Terry and Arnold, their 22nd pick.
And he's young. He's only 21. And he
Yeah,
just turned 21, so he has time to
yeah.
develop in Philly. And I mean, CeeDee Lamb's likely not going anywhere in Dallas. You know, we're thinking that the Giants might pick a wide receiver here. We don't know, literally in the draft, but they need some good DBs to keep up. They do. Minnesota 23, again, their quarterback has been taken. You know, we didn't pick them quarterback earlier. Bo Nix got taken. Michael Penix got taken. So what do? Again, you've got to go best available talent here. They got defensive inside of Byron Murphy to shore up that line. I think they could go it again. They don't need a wide receiver. They already have Justin Jefferson and Mario Addison. Give me this is tough. Give me Latu Latu. I think this is a good spot for him to fall. 96.3 rate on PFF, by the way. They think he's going to be a star in the NFL. I'm just saying. He's a senior. He's 23.3 from Sacramento. You can never have too many edge pieces. They got to go best player available. If the Vikings aren't going to score a lot of points, they can do shore up back-to-back defensive edge and hopefully limit people scoring a lot on the defensive side. This would be a decent haul from the Vikings. If they can't get their quarterback, they can do really good players on defense. I like this for them.
Yeah, he also kind of gives, like you said, he gives Jalen Phillips vibes, not even just player. He also had an injury in 2021. He had a neck injury that almost ended his career. So a lot of comparisons to him. Maybe that's a reason he falls with that injury history and that risk that comes with it. But I don't hate the pick. I like it. I like it. The Dallas Cowgirls. Got on the clock at 24. Now, what do the Dallas Cowgirls need? A lot.
A lot.
They are also needing a lot. They need a running back. Do they need another wide receiver? I don't know. They need a lot of help on the offensive line. Do I go crazy right here? Actually, no. I'm going to go crazy in a couple other picks. I'm going to have another reach, I think. But I think it might work.
Blake Corum.
Brother, why do you got to ruin it? I'm not taking Blake Corum at pick number 24, but I am going to take J.C. Latham out of Alabama, the tackle. I think they also probably need to go best available at this point. It's either going to be him or Jared Verse, the edge out of Florida State. But Dallas needs a lot of help, so I don't think J.C. Latham's a terrible pick.
I think this part of the draft where you start seeing teams trade up from the second round into the first. Like you could see even the Bears trade up, or maybe even Carolina. You know, the Carolina doesn't have the first round pick, but if there's like any player they want to pick here, I think this is where you're going to start seeing some teams trade up into the end of the first round. The Green Bay Packers did way better than we both thought they were going to do. Jordan Love was actually a decent quarterback. They played pretty well, made it to the playoffs. They need some help. You know, their longtime offensive tackle, David Bakhtiari, retired in the offseason. So I'm going with his replacement, Graham Barton. He's been doing pretty well in recent interviews. They think he's going to move up in the draft. He's a senior, but he's only 21.8. 21.8. He's only 21 years old. He's not going to be 22 until the season starts. I like this pick for them. 6'5", 314, big boy in the offensive line. They could use that. They could use more to keep Jordan Love upright. So I'm going to go with Graham Barton.
All right. 26, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is where I get crazy, brother. They need a running back. Do they need a running back really that bad? They do. They go Blake Corum. That's going to be the shock of the first round. I'm telling you. Blake Corum. Yeah, he's old. Yeah. So what is he, 20? He's not even 24 yet. So, I mean, running back-wise, he's old. But I like it. I like the experience he brings. You know, 4-year starter in college. He's got Heisman voting. He hasn't won the Heisman, but he's got the Heisman votes. I like that. I bring it down to Tampa.
I would say that's a decent shout for Blake Corum to go here. I would say even the Arizona could pick him to be a complimentary to James Conner, you know, because James Conner's a big, burly back. And he's not huge, but he plays strong, whereas Blake Corum's a little bit smaller. But I don't hate the pick. I don't hate where it's picked. I think a different team might draft him, though. I think for Arizona, you know, you have them picking Marvin Harrison Jr. earlier in the draft. Not steal, but like arguably a number 1 overall pick with his talent at wide receiver. They do need offensive line help. They do need defensive help. I think they go Jared Verse, Florida State, best player available. You get Marvin Harrison and you get this guy in your draft, 19 on PFF's big board, you're walking away pretty happy if you're an Arizona Cardinals fan. Let me get Jared Verse on the line.
Interesting. Okay. I think Buffalo's pick at 28 might be the easiest pick to predict position-wise. Maybe not player, but I think position-wise, this is the easiest one to pick. They just lost Stephon Diggs. They don't really have any wide receiver help outside of that. Josh Allen has to throw the ball to somebody. Sorry, I'm currently trying to watch the end of this third quarter. That's crazy. But I think this could be any number of wide receivers. Could this be Xavier Worthy? Sure. It could be Brian Thomas. It could be Adonai Mitchell. It could be Troy Franklin out of Oregon. I think it's just it's somebody. It's a wide receiver of some sort. For this, we'll just go Brian Thomas. I it's going to be a wide receiver. I don't think it really matters who it is either.
They do need one. I mean, they got rid of Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis this offseason. They got, I mean, unless they're using this pick to trade for another wide receiver already in the NFL, that's a decent one with the end of the first round. Like you said, they got to go get somebody to catch the ball from Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to let you take this pick because this is the Detroit Lions, and I know this is your team, and you know them better than I do. So I'm going to let you pick this one. I'll take the Ravens one from you, but go ahead. You can cook. Who do the Lions take here?
So I really thought they would get Cooper DeJean. I still think that could definitely happen. I don't know why I'm acting like this is the actual draft. Holy shit! But
You're already so sad.
Yeah, I think if Cooper DeJean is there, that's good. But if this is the way it falls, Kool-Aid McKinstry is that's easy. I think they're going to go corner no matter what. Really, they need corner help. They lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Kirby Joseph, great. He's a safety, injured all the time. I think Kool-Aid can kind of switch between the two. I'm taking Kool-Aid McKinstry, and I'm happy with that. That if this is how it falls, I am absolutely happy with that as the pick.
You know, if I'd picked, I would have picked a Kool-Aid McKinstry. I know they need
Yeah.
corner. I saw them in the game against the Niners. They couldn't stop Brandon Ayuk. They couldn't really stop him. They couldn't stop Deebo Samuel either. So they need corner help. And he's a smart corner who won't make dumb decisions like your cornerbacks did a little bit in the playoffs last year. But
Listen, man, we don't claim C.J. Gardner-Johnson anymore. That guy's a traitor, and screw him.
for the Ravens at 30, I mean, they could go a couple different routes. You know, they're a great team last year. They added Derrick Henry. I think the easiest thing you do is you give him a big body tackle to run behind and say, just go to work. Amarius Mims is that dude. 6'7", 340. I think this is the guy. I think this is the guy you got to take. I mean, he can block well. He can run block pretty well. Pass blocking, not the best, but when you got Derrick Henry and you're the Ravens who run the ball so much, this is a great pick for them. So I'm taking Amarius Mims. And since we traded, I'm also going to do the Niners picks. You'll have the privilege of getting the Chiefs at the end.
I'll bet.
I mean,
like that.
So, I mean, the Niners went to the Super Bowl. They could have won the Super Bowl if they could contain Patrick Mahomes, maybe play a little bit better defense. You could go guard or tackle. They do need some offensive line help. Right now, you know, Brandon Ayuk is the possibility of being traded. They do have Deebo Samuel still on the roster. I think they take a receiver here and they trade Ayuk because Ayuk might not re-sign. So I'm going Adonai Mitchell from Texas. I'm going 6'4", big body, again, complimentary to Deebo Samuel, who's not small. He's jacked, but, you know, he's not the tallest receiver. I'm going Adonai Mitchell here. I'm thinking Brandon Ayuk. Even if he stays this season, I don't think they're close on a contract. So this is a place where you get the best, maybe not the best player available, but 20-year-old wide receiver, get him cheap on a rookie deal. I'm going Adonai Mitchell.
Interesting. Okay. I don't hate it. Last pick of the first round is for the Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, they just won the Super Bowl. Like, what do they really need? A wide receiver would definitely help for sure. I think that's probably where they're going to go. A lot of the great ones already gone. I mean, I like Keon Coleman out of Florida State. I like Roman Wilson out of Michigan, but that one might be a little biased. You have Ladd McConkey out of Georgia, who I don't know. I think people like Ladd McConkey a little bit more. I think people think he's going to be the next Cooper Kupp, but I don't see it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do they go? I think they go Keon Coleman. I mean, again, 6'4". He's not even 21 yet. Went to Florida State after he transferred from Michigan State, so he's got that Big Ten ACC experience. I'll go Keon Coleman. It's probably a little bit of a reach, but at the same time, the Chiefs just came off a Super Bowl. They can afford to probably reach on a wide receiver.
If I was the Chiefs, I would probably go Javion Sanders, the tight end from Texas. You know, Travis Kelce's only getting older. So
this guy.
I mean, I would have probably taken a tight end, but I don't hate it. Now, unfortunately, we cannot get our PFF grades on here, but I think we did pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I don't think we did terribly. I'm putting the results here so we can keep track. Now, of all these players, how many players do you think go to the teams we said or positions that we drafted them?
I'm thinking we got 10 of them right.
Like
I'm
10
thinking we
players
got.
to the right
I'm
teams or
thinking we
10?
got 10. Yeah, I think we got 10 players to the right team.
I'm going
That might
less. I'm
be
going six. I'm going six players.
well because you got to think like Caleb Williams is already a lock. Like that's probably a
That's
lock.
one. That's one.
Marvin Harrison Jr. probably a lock there.
If
I
they don't
like
trade the pick, that's the thing. Like that's
yeah.
what I'm thinking with trades happening that are probably going to happen on Thursday. I think it's going to be hard for us to nail the player to the team. I think the pick could be easier, but I think to
I
the
think
teams that'll be tough.
I think Joe Alt. I think that's probably a really good one to Tennessee. But yeah, I mean, we might get lucky and luck into two or three of them, but I don't think we did terrible. I think this could have gone much worse if I started to get really biased.
Just every single college logo is Michigan, 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 Michigan.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. I mean, honestly, okay. Looking back at the draft, you have our mock draft. What do you think was your favorite pick of either yours or mine? And what do you think pick that you don't think is going to happen as a reach?
Bo Nix is probably. Yeah, that was kind of a wild pick. That there's always something crazy. I feel like there's
Your
always
own pick.
yeah, there's always something crazy that happens. I feel it very well could be Bo Nix, but I mean, odds are it's not, and that pick's going to be scrutinized very heavily.
Yeah, I think the favorite pick that you made. I think Brock Bowers to the Jets. I think that's likely going to happen. Like, I think if he falls to 10, I think the Jets take him and run with it. And then for me, honestly, I think again, it's got to be obviously homegrown biased. It has to be. But if we get Jackson Powers Johnson, I think that's the best pick the Dolphins can make. Maybe they could trade down and still pick him. And also, I don't hate your shout of Xavier Worthy to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't hate that at all. And now it might be too early for him, but that's the perfect complementary piece. They got Russ, they got Justin Fields trying to figure out who can be the quarterback of the future. I like that pick. I like that pick you made.
Yeah,
But
we're
we
going to be
will.
completely wrong. I guarantee we got like two right.
I'm copying this to my iPad as I watch the draft Thursday. I'm just
Yeah.
going to be putting red X's
Yep.
everywhere as I go through and track it.
Yep.
But we will,
By
of
the
course,
way, oh,
yeah, go for it.
I was gonna say, by the way, vibes are low. Phoenix is now down 8 with 10 minutes left, and the refs are just completely taking this game over.
Yep, I see it here. 76-84, 9:55 left.
Yeah,
Man, the T-Wolves are looking good. The Pacers are up 5 at halftime against Milwaukee, by the way, also.
I don't know. If Phoenix loses this game, they might be screwed.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. But you never know. You never know. But I think that is it for us this week. We will, of course, react to the actual draft and see, of course, how many picks we get right or wrong. We will talk about hockey next week. That will be assured. We'll talk about some round one action that's been going on. The Panthers, I think, are tied in game 2 against the Lightning going into the third period. They are. That's a great series going on. And we'll catch up on any baseball news. And maybe, I'm sure there's going to be some trades on draft night. Like, I think 2 first round picks get traded for a player. Like, could you imagine? Hear me out. Could you imagine if the Patriots trade pick 3 for Justin Jefferson?
that's disgusting. They wouldn't do that. There's no quarterback there.
But imagine you trade pick 3 for Justin Jefferson and maybe pick 23, and then you throw in a second round pick that the Patriots do, so they get a first round pick still. Like, I think there's gonna be one. It won't. I don't think it'll be Justin Jefferson, but there'll be one player like how it was AJ Brown a couple years ago, and it's been Tyreek Hill and all these players, right? There'll be one big player that's moved for a draft pick. I feel. I don't know who.
I think that'll happen. I think Justin Jefferson being that player going to the Patriots is just insane. There's no way.
I would hate it. I would absolutely be vomiting at the
But
mouth.
the Patriots would be dumb to do that, though. That's the thing. It's like they don't have a
But
quarterback to
also,
put around him.
what if the Chargers do it at 5? They got Justin Herbert. Imagine they trade 5 this year, 1 next year for Justin Jefferson. You're telling me the Vikings don't take that? They could have 5, 11, and what is it? Uh, 5'11", and 23 to pick another wide receiver, pick a quarterback of the future, start completely fresh. I don't think they would pass on that either.
Well, we can't answer these questions until Thursday anyway, so there's no point in speculating anymore. We're just going to keep going down these rabbit holes of who's
Yeah.
getting traded for who. But
Yep.
Thursday, the draft in Detroit. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll bring you the reactions to it and anything else that happens in the sports world. Catch us next week for episode 44. As always, I'm Alex.
Taylor.
Catch you then.